Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Be a Great GM. We're currently looking at NPCs, and in today's video we're going to be looking at the role of your long-term NPCs. Now these are NPCs that are going to be popping up throughout your campaign that the players will interact with on a regular basis. What's the difference between creating an NPC that is simply drop in and play versus a long-term NPC? The fundamental difference is that a long-term NPC is structured differently from a short-term NPC. And we looked at short-term NPCs in the previous video, so if you didn't see that, go and check it out. So a long-term NPC is structured differently. How? Well, basically, a long-term NPC needs to have a plan. They need to have a goal. They need to have objectives. And all of that needs to be injected by you before you throw them into the game. How do you do this? How do you determine what those goals and things are relatively easily? Well, it becomes a function of that perma-NPC. Why do you want a long-term NPC? Is it the commanding officer of the battalion that the characters belong to? Is it the king? Is it the captain of the starship that they're going to regularly supply resources to? Figure out what your long-term NPCs are in terms of their function towards the party. If they have no function towards the party, well then why are they there? So if we look at the functions that a permanent NPC or a long-term NPC could take on, the functions primarily are advisor. So it is someone to whom they might return again and again. And this is different from the short-term NPC who is just giving the players information. The advisor is someone that the player should be going to that will help build the characters, not necessarily just that particular mission. So if you look at Batman, for example, the permanent NPC is, of course, Alfred, his ever-present butler, who advises him not necessarily on how to solve the mission, but on how he should change his life. We all love Alfred, well, most of us anyway, because he's permanently there and he's permanently driving Bruce Wayne to have children, settle down and have a family. That's not necessarily, and oftentimes exactly the opposite of what Bruce Wayne wants to hear. But he's an NPC that keeps coming back. What are Alfred's goals? His goals are, in terms of himself, not really there. In terms of Bruce Wayne, the main character, well, it's supporting him, it's providing him with advice, and it's gently nudging him towards an objective that Alfred thinks he should be accepting of. So, advisor is one of the roles that a long-term NPC can take on. Another one is the love interest. And this is always a touchy story in games and in gaming with regards to the love interest, and maybe it's something that we need to look at in a different video. But the love interest could certainly be a long-term NPC. What would her goal be, or his goal? Well, it's what all love interests' goals are. I think it's to settle down and to basically become happy with their hero, which obviously provides us with lots of room for arguments and contention. Why are they always going off to save the castle? Why are they always out on patrol in late misty nights, etc., etc. We've all watched the movies where the long-term NPC wife, who ultimately becomes the kidnapped victim or whatever the case might be, is urging the character, the hero, to stop doing whatever it is they're doing. And that's a perfectly valid function for an NPC to do, because of course that helps drive players to say, oh, no, why is she telling us to not go on this quest? We are definitely going on this quest. So again, the NPCs, whether they're short-term or long-term, help drive the story if you know how to use them correctly. Another type of long-term NPC is the driver NPC, literally the NPC who pushes. And give me a moment here. If you look at NPCs that do that, look at the gentleman who runs any kind of newspaper in any kind of superhero movie. They are never passive, quiet people. They're always pushing, 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 and oftentimes they're pushing for other things rather than what the heroes are interested in. Again, it's just a tool to allow you to use your NPCs to move the story along. and to move it in the direction you want it to go, not the direction that the players want it to go. And it's all through basic 101 psychology. If everybody's telling the NPCs do not go down that path, well, you most likely will have PCs going down that path. If they don't, that's fantastic, and then you can explore other options. Because, of course, the other type of long-standing NPC is the antagonist, and the antagonist is not just the chief or the captain or the warlord that they encounter in a once-off adventure. It is the long-running supervillain, the Moriartys of the world, if you like. And those are best set up when they start as allies or when they start as unknowns. And they get hinted at here and there throughout a 6-month campaign. Maybe their name gets mentioned once or twice, but they never make an actual appearance. And I've heard a lot of GMs commenting on this actual channel where they say, oh, my PCs, get confused, my PCs killed off my main villain before it was time because they did something strange. Then your main villain appeared too soon. The temptation to start your campaign with a main villain destroying an entire planet or a kingdom or a whatever is certainly very good, but it does speak a little bit of a novice approach to using the antagonist as you would like. You want the main antagonist to be something that's in the background, that's murky, that's shadowy, that your players discover over time and go, that mission, that adventure, that scenario, they're all linked by this one bastard. He screwed us over there, he screwed us over there, he screwed us over there, etc., etc. You build up to your main antagonistic villain by having him there all the time, but just changing subtly things in the background. So now we know the function of our NPC long term, what they're going to be doing within the party. How does that then help us create a memorable NPC, a really good NPC that people want to go back to time and time again? Well, you've got to look at it in terms of a relationship. The NPC, and I've kind of mentioned it already, should always be either at odds with the players or should be in support of the players. But they should never be wishy-washy. You shouldn't have an NPC saying, well, yeah, you could go on the adventure or you could stay here. What information is that giving us as players? Nothing. What information is it building on? Nothing. Whereas if you have an NPC that says, no, please, please, I beg of you, do not go on this mission. There are too many lives at stake. We can't lose you. Well, that's an NPC who's supporting the party. We can't lose you, but is at the same time saying to them, don't go on that mission. So of course they're going to want to go on the mission. I mean, that's just what they do. That's why we love them. So you've got to look at what is the function, what is the role of the NPC, and then try and opposite them. So if it's a captain of the guard, make him very strong and very demanding, and then very caring and very soft. So you've got to keep it dynamic as well. Again, just trying to build as much of a rapport with the players' characters as possible and trying to control the direction that the players eventually take. Once you've worked out what that personality type is, then you can jump straight into, then you can jump into the personality types. And this is a video that you need to go and cross-reference and look around for, and I'm hoping we'll link it below. It's called Types of Characters, and it's a 2-parter on the 9 different basic types of characters. And it's in the How to Be a Great Player collection of videos. And that really will help you very quickly come up with some keywords for your NPC that will help to create a vivid character. Once you've done that, what I usually like to do is add in a quirk or two. Is it a nervous tick? Is it perhaps that their jaw sticks out? Is it perhaps that they're very old? Do they have some kind of discerning mark on their face that causes them to speak out of the side of their mouth because it's a great big scar that was inflicted upon them in some great battle? 1 or 2 quirks, you don't need many, and it could literally just be he smells of garlic all the time. Because the day that you say to the players, you don't smell the garlic as usual, you get a distinct impression of a female's perfume that players are going to jump all over it. And it's a wonderful way of introducing the next plot, adventure, whatever the case might be. Think of also a good descriptor for them. Try and give them a visceral description. So talk about hair, style, maybe a bristly moustache that completely covers his entire mouth and looks as if there are badgers living inside of it. Broad shoulders, hunched shoulders. And you as the game master should try and adopt it. So if you're talking about a frail little old man, become a frail little old person. Whereas if you're talking about a grand barbarian warlord, you should become a grand barbarian warlord. So putting in some descriptors and adopting the position, the posture of it, will help convey that sense of the character, the NPC, to the characters. And over time, you almost shouldn't say, Chief Warlord so-and-so walks up to you. You should just be able to go, where have you been? I have not seen you in some time. And they should automatically go, oh, that's the warlord. Whereas if their little butler comes up to them, they should immediately go, that's the little butler. And of course, finally, the last flourish that you can put onto your NPCs is accents. And not everyone is good at accents, but I suspect that sometimes it just comes down to a little practice. And I'm going to be doing a next video on accents and how to do them relatively easily. But all of that combines to give you an NPC that has a function, that has a personality, and that has some kind of memorability to it. And notice, only now, once you've done all of this stuff, can you now create the statistics for the character. Because really, those statistics should not make much difference in your life. If you want the PCs to fight the character because it's your grand nemesis, then that's fine. Create the statistics. Your players should only encounter it much, much later down in the line in the campaign. And when they first encounter him, he or she, they should be so powerful that the PCs really cannot overcome this character. So the statistics are relatively meaningless, in my opinion. A lot of people might start the other way around. I tend to find that a little bit contrary. I want to create my story around my NPCs and then give them the statistics that they might need. But by now, you know that that's how I work. I hope these videos continue to inspire and excite, as some of you have mentioned in the comments below. I love reading the comments. I do try and respond to everybody I possibly can, because I think it's a great little community that we are building here together. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share with everybody button. I have been promising you for the last couple of weeks that there is something very exciting happening. If you haven't been to our website yet, www.greatgamemaster.com, head on over there when you've got an opportunity. I think it will be something that you are hopefully impressed in. And very soon, I'm hoping that you will start to call it home too. Watch this space. Until next time, happy gaming.